Families, we are excited to have you as a member of the Title I Family Advisory Committee, and we are going to encourage you to share your thoughts, questions, and feedback throughout this session. We'll have some key opportunities to share and participate, and we ask that you please remain muted during the time to minimize any background noise. If you have any questions, you're welcome to drop them into the chat or raise your hand to participate. And we're so glad that you're here and able to join us to learn more about what is offered through our Title I grant services and some of the different family engagement strategies that are implemented through our school district. We're also excited to review and share feedback on our Title I Family Advisory, Title I Family Engagement Policy, Policy SPENG, which will be a focus of our December session. We also hope to hear valuable input from our families regarding our Family Academy sessions and other opportunities to connect with our district resources. And we hope that you're able to propose any new ideas or strategies to foster our family engagement based on what's occurring within your schools. We also hope for you to share and provide any insights into what is occurring at your school site so that we can work to make sure that your needs are being met as families within our community. And I want to start by just sharing a few opportunities that are new through family and community engagement and available to our families this year. So if you have not already done so, I would love to highlight our family portal for all of our families. On the taskbar of the CMS website, there is a new button called the Family Portal, which provides a one-stop shop for our families. This is a great opportunity to easily navigate the plethora of district resources that we have available so that you are able to focus on supporting your child at home. So once you've accessed the family portal, there is no login required. From there, you'll select a pathway of your choosing. So if I have an elementary student, I can easily click on my elementary schooler, select their grade level, and see exactly what they need to be successful that year. If you haven't had a chance, it's a great resource to check out and access additional information. And families, I also wanted to highlight our Family Academy. I'm sure you've seen a few messages or social media posts about these and maybe had a wondering as to what is Family Academy. We host lunch and learns every Thursday from 12 to 1 p.m. focused on key issues or key topics in CMS to make sure that our families have the information they need to be successful and support learning at home. So this week, if you have a student maybe within the AIG program, we'll be highlighting some resources on AIG and what it means to support your learner at home. Next week, if you have a high school student, we'll be focused on We Are All Math People, Math 1, 2, and 3, and how to succeed. There is a weekly offering, so if you're not able to join, we also have an on-demand library where you can go and watch those recorded webinars. Once again, here's a few of our upcoming Family Academy virtual lunch and learns. There is no registration, and it's an easy login just following that bit.ly CMS Family Academy. And families, we will have a few more opportunities throughout the school year to connect with key departments for additional resources and information and additional opportunities to collaborate with our Spotlight principals. So please mark your calendar for December 8th, March 23rd, and March 27th for 6 p.m. for these virtual engagements. And at this time, do we have any questions about just a quick overview of some of those resources and the Title I Family Advisory Committee? And I'm going to stop sharing real quick just to get my eyes on you guys. And families, I think I was so excited to jump on, and let me back up just one quick minute. My name is Molly Rush, and I am excited to be with you this evening and share in this journey. I work within the Family and Community Engagement Department and am excited to serve as a connector for you. So if there are any questions throughout this evening's call, please feel free to engage with us. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the Director of Federal Programs, Mr. Bill King, who will be sharing around Title I parent and family information.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. This is an exciting opportunity. Again, my name is Bill King. I am one of the federal program directors at CMS. So again, thank you for joining us. Tonight, I get to go over a few components of Title I, specifically what is Title I, what are some of the benefits of Title I, and also your parent rights. So Molly, if you can go to the next slide. So the purpose of Title I is to help ensure that all children have the opportunity to obtain a high quality education and reach proficiency in challenging state academic content and performance standards. You can see on the screen here that there's areas of focus that include academic achievement for all learners, great teaching by great teachers, family and community engagement, social emotional learning, strategic planning with stakeholders, and flexibility. Now, on the next slide, you're going to see how Title I benefits our schools in a way that is aligned to those areas of focus that I just mentioned. Now, on this screen here, you can see these are some of the more popular ways that schools allocate their Title I funds. For example, hiring staff such as teachers as well as paraprofessionals. This this ability gives schools the ability to reduce class size and facilitate more small group instruction. You also have tutoring. Tutoring is very popular with
My baby was
schools.
fine until
Sorry about that. Tutoring, very popular with schools, and it gives you flexibility. You could do it after school, before school. You can have Saturday tutoring, and schools can even do tutoring during the summer. It's a great way to provide extra learning opportunities for our students. Purchasing materials is another popular way schools are using their funding. This includes supplies that are instructional and linked to teacher and student use. This could include your basic supplies like pencils and notebooks or art supplies, but can also be devices for students and in some cases furniture if it's going to facilitate small group instruction. Those are all allowable purchases. Then we have parent and family engagement. Now, all of these are very popular, like I said earlier, but parent engagement is a required component to Title I that schools have to spend 1% of their funding on parent engagement. So examples of this are purchasing snacks for families attending academic events. So if a school is doing something like curriculum night or EOG night or something along those lines, something instructional, schools can buy snacks for families. They also can buy supplies for students. Now, I think it's a good way to mirror what's happening in school in their classroom is to provide students with some of those supplies that they're using in school at home. So that's one thing they can use these funds for. Other things are popular are books. Schools like to provide students with books to take home so they can have an at-home library. All great options. Professional development is another benefit of Title I. School leaders can provide their staff with learning opportunities to help increase their effectiveness. So that's also popular. And you can see on here, we also have that Title I funds are used to support pre-K and our multilingual learner programs. Our multilingual learner program, they're just fantastic at providing support to our schools, especially professional development. And same with our pre-K department. And I did check, pre-K is still enrolling for the 25-26 school year up until March 30th. The application for next school year, if you want to sign up for pre-K next year, the 26-27 school year, that window is going to open December 1st. So I just want to repeat that. If you know anyone that might be interested in pre-K, the window is still open for this school year up until March 30th. So please spread the word so we can get those seats filled. And you can go to the next slide, Molly. Okay, here we're talking about parent rights. So if you're a parent and you're wondering how can you get more involved with the school, hopefully I could shed some light on that. So Title I schools are required to develop a written parent and family engagement policy. If you are interested in being included in the planning implementation of the parent involvement plan, I highly recommend you reach out to your child's school. This really allows parents to help develop the plan in collaboration with school staff. And I know there always schools would love to have more parent participation. Part of this collaboration is helping to develop a school parent compact that outlines the responsibilities of school staff, parents, and students with the goal of improving student achievement. So if you go to the next slide and you open the compact, that first link there. So this is what the compact looks like. Molly's going to open it up for us. And you can see it's divided up into all four stakeholders and truly what is their responsibility in order to improve student success. So if we look at parent responsibilities, you have things like make sure my child attends school every day, attend parent-teacher conferences, provide a study space and study materials, volunteer at the school. Okay, those are all some of the expectations for the parent. As you look at the teacher responsibilities on the top right, provide a safe and welcoming environment for student families, help parents identify ways to help their children learn, and have at least one parent-teacher conference annually. Those are some of the teacher responsibilities. As you look at the bottom, you got principal responsibilities, including set high standards and implement effective programs in reading and math throughout the school, provide workshops for families on how to help students learn, and provide a variety of opportunities for parents and families to volunteer at the school. And then finally, you can see student responsibilities, come to school on time, which I think is part of parent responsibilities, so a little overlap there. Get and complete my homework assignments done, bring books, homework, and parents to school on time, and follow CMS behavior rules. So the expectation is that if everyone does their part, this can help student achievement. And Molly, you can go back to the slide deck. Okay. Now, the next link we have is the parent and family engagement policy. You go ahead and click on that.
فوتكم هنا بالكلي ومحلية مساجات وإيام تعرف كلي هكا لحمة مشاعر ما صدقتش الأيام اللي جاية معناتها
So this is
مسني
just a template here. But on the but what you can see is really going to be a comprehensive plan for the year, including what events are planned, such as if a school's doing curriculum night or beginners day, or again, EOG night, things like that. Kindergarten, meet the teacher night, kind of those transition activities for students. Those could all be included on here. How do schools communicate? Are that you're using a newsletter? Are you doing parent-teacher conferences, using Parent Square? And then also another component of this is when is your annual Title I meeting? And we'll get a little bit more into that. But you can see this is when it's completed. It's a very comprehensive plan that I'm sure the school would love if parents participated in helping to create this. Okay, the next thing there is the school improvement team. Again, another opportunity to be included in helping to make academic decisions in partnership with school leaders that help improve student achievement. Many schools would like to have more parent involvement with their team. So again, please reach out to your school if you're interested. And finally, we have the annual Title I parent information meeting. Now, Title I schools are required to share this information, and pretty much it takes through all like what is Title I, what is our plan for Title I. Molly, if you go down to slide 7, I believe, here it talks about how are schools using their funds? How are they allocating their Title I money in a way that's going to help improve student achievement? So that should be included in this presentation. That again, all Title I schools must do. Now, if you can't attend meetings or be a part of the school improvement team, that's okay because you can still be engaged. Schools have their school improvement plan on their website. And included is the login information there as well. So you can go in and actually go to your school's website, go to your school improvement plan, log in, and you could see how what the school goals are and how they're planning to use Title I money to help student achievement. Everything that they're allocating funds for must be included on the school improvement plan. If it's not, their Title I allotment wouldn't get approved. Okay, so there is still a way to see what's going on in the schoolhouse. I believe that's all for me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And again, thanks everyone for coming out.
Thank you, Bill. Families, if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand or add them to the chat. Wonderful. Well, we'll have a little extra Q&A time if any do arise. But at this time, we can take a moment and I'm going to introduce our two spotlight principals. This evening, we are joined by Principal Ward from Whitewater Middle School and Principal Moraine from Mint Hill Elementary School. Our two spotlight principals are going to guide us through a conversation where we are opening the floor to you families to make sure that your questions are answered and your needs are met. This evening, we are going to be focused on what questions do we have as the first quarter ends, and what do you need to know before any parent-teacher conferences? And I am happy to kick us off with this conversation. As a parent myself, one question that I'm really nervous about coming from a different angle and asking my teachers and my principals, when I come to my parent-teacher conference, what do I do first? Do I call, like, how do I even go about setting up one of these meetings with my teachers?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tamelia Ward, principal of Whitewater Middle School. And I would say the best advice for parents is just contact your teachers through Parent Square. It is a district-approved resource. Teachers are supposed to check every 24 hours. If you are not hearing anything from teachers, then loop in your assistant principal, your counselor, your principal, so they can give that teacher a quick nudge. This is a perfect time as we are wrapping up the first quarter that you want to have two-way communication with your child's teacher. So because this is a true partnership. So don't be, shy. We can meet anytime. Especially now, there are virtual meetings for our parents who are working, if you can't come in. So just start that conversation through Parent Square. Just a simple request. I would like to talk to my parent's teacher about my child's teacher about how things are going in class, and the school would definitely support you.
Yeah, I would just build off that and say, making sure, right now is a time where I think schools will start to reach out to schedule a conference, but also remembering, and one of the things we want to make sure our parents know is that it doesn't have to be the teacher to reach out to schedule, right? Like you can ask for a conference at any time, right? Anytime we meet to talk about your student, that's a parent-teacher conference. And yes, we want to have, at least one, but we'll have as many as we need to make sure that students are successful, right? So, it's a parent's right to be able to ask for those supports. And we want to make sure that parents know, anytime you want to reach out, just reach out and let us know, and we'll set that meeting up.
Great information.
So I know for us too, one of the things that a lot of times in a parent-teacher conference, it may be we don't want it to be one-sided, right? We don't want it to just be, a parent come in and we spend the whole time talking to them. We want to talk with them about, how we can support their student. We want our parents to ask questions. We want our parents to share more about, themselves, their family. And so I think sometimes, one of the best things you can do is just we sometimes give our parents questions, like here are some ideas of questions you might be able to ask during your parent-teacher conference ahead of time, but coming in with those questions ahead of time, being prepared to ask those questions to your teacher, or even, sharing them in advance, like here's some of the information I want, so that teachers can be prepared and make sure that it truly fits the needs of each family.
great information, great advice. What are some common topics I can expect that my teachers might go over during a parent-teacher conference with me?
Usually first, we always start off with some type of celebration about what's going well. We spend a lot of time with children in the building. So a lot of times we know we have children of our own. They get home and you ask them, how did their day go? And it's just like, it was okay. So we like to always start off with something positive, what's going well academically, socially as well, because we know those are the things that parents like to know about. And then our teachers also ask, well, what is your child saying how school is going? So we can get that feedback as well. Then we always like to have artifacts like student work samples, so the parents can see exactly what type of work their child is doing in the classroom and how it aligns to what's being taught. Because curriculum night is always a good event where you hear holistically what's being taught, but it really gets personal during parent-teacher conferences where you actually can see how is my child performing in the class. So once what's going well, areas to improve on, and those student artifacts as far as so parents can actually see how their scholars are doing. And then we always like to wrap up with suggestions or ways to improve to ensure the continued success of the student.
Yeah, I would just add to that, we want to make sure, especially, when we have our conferences after like kind of key benchmark periods, that we're sitting down with parents and going over that data with them. So, at the elementary school level, it's going to be, K2, breaking down that DIBELS data, showing parents, what does this mean? What does it look like? How can you support this at home? Our iReady data as well, like what story does that tell about a student? And I agree, it's more than just those test scores, but that's a way for our parents to see kind of where their children are in comparison, and that progress year to year as well. And I think that's a good question to ask is just, where is my student in relation to grade level expectations? And, regardless of what the answer is, then to say, the question is, all right, well, what can we do together to help my child, continue to, to get to the level that we want them to get to, depending on, where they are and what the goal is. So.
Wonderful, great information. I know I have seen those DIBELS reports coming home, and I saw some parent square messages. So that is key information, and I can't wait to learn more about that. We do have one community question that's come in, and they are asking, what are some examples of questions I should be prepared to ask at a parent-teacher conference?
That is a great question. I would once say, like, how is my child performing when it comes to grade level standards is one, or how are they performing is my child on grade level? Also, what type of things how can I support at home are two of the top questions that we like to engage parents with.
Yeah, I know for us, one of the questions is just, tell me, I think one of the best things to ask is tell me more about what my students like at school, right? Because we know at all levels, but I know in the elementary school level, like how we are in school and how we are at home may be very different things. And so just getting a sense of who our student is, I think making sure that you ask questions about the teacher, how are you going to, just making sure you're getting all that communication. How are they sending home communication? I know another thing, it's not really a question, but making sure, one of the things we're doing during our this first set of parent-teacher conferences is making sure parents are signed up for Infinite Campus as well, so that they can check that information, especially for us, for our 3rd through 5th graders. But I know, in middle school, you need everybody on there to be able to check, student progress. And, so that's another question too, is, what other things should I be signed up for? What are other tools that I can access? Definitely asking about, how can I, if you have questions about the Launchpad or any of the tools that we have access to at home, there's no bad questions, right, in a situation like that. I think it's just, continuing to say, how can I support my child at home, and how can I help them continue to grow? So.
Great point. Thank you. One question that we also have is, what if my child has multiple teachers? How do we navigate some of these different conferences and meetings when there's a lot of different voices at the table?
From the middle school lens, what we try to do is have cohort conferences. So which means we try to get all the teachers who are on the same team as the student to come in at the same time, so we can all have that one voice so that parent can hear everything. And then if it's not during we have a special parent conference day, we're leveraging November 4th for our conference day at Whitewater Middle. So we're pre-scheduling those and making sure teachers are all together. Another good way is to contact in a middle school your counselor. Contact your counselor, and your counselor could be the one that can get everybody together with agreed upon time so you can meet with all the teachers. And if the teacher cannot be there, for example, if your electives team doesn't have planning during that time as a grade level, then we can definitely get their input, and another teacher can share out for them. So reach out to your counselor. It happens all the time. And just a shameless plug for middle school. Please, 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 that is the time that you need to be heavily involved. Do not let go. Ask questions as they're navigating that middle life crisis that they're having. Please contact your child's teacher and don't assume everything is going well, because they don't share a lot when they're 11, 12, 13, and 14. All they care about is friends. So reach out to the teachers and the principal, and they'll make it happen for you.
Absolutely. It takes a village. That is so true. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I would just add, for us at the elementary school level, same thing is I agree with Principal Ward, just asking that counselor sometimes is the best way to go about getting everybody at the table. We do our best to coordinate schedules so that, if you may need to have an EC teacher, MLL teacher there present at the conference, that we can all be there. But I would also, just say, and I advocate for families to say, if there's someone you need to be there and they're not there, then just, make sure someone knows that you want that person to be there too, right? And, when we do have some departmentalized grade levels where we may have more than one teacher, and we make sure we do those conferences together. But we also, I think the other part is like remembering that, there's going to be this one in the elementary school level, this one like kind of, beginning conference. But please ask for any more conferences or any time you want to meet, in it, after that, there's no such thing again as having, too many people involved in the success of a student. And I'll just say, on a separate note, I have a sixth grader this year in CMS. And so I'm navigating what it's like to be a middle school parent. So it's an interesting time. And yeah, I don't really know much about what happens at school, even though he literally is like across the parking lot from me. So yeah.
Oh, it's crazy how quickly it changes, isn't it? But great points, great tips for our families. Thank you, guys. And I would also like to advocate that exactly what has been shared, if there's someone that you need at the table, and that includes having an interpretation service. If you have language needs, families, please make sure that your school is aware. They probably know and are prepared to support you, but if there's ever a question, feel free to advocate for yourself, because we are here to make sure that that is provided as well. And families, if we have we do have one additional community question that's coming in, would be, how can parents find information from their schools about the parent-teacher conferences?
So I know from our perspective, it's sent out constantly on Parent Square. That's really the primary tool we use to communicate, with our families to make sure they know. And, if we don't get kind of, we know with maybe the Parent Square message doesn't get through, or we, if you're like me, you're busy, you forget. We also then follow back up with phone calls as well, because our goal is 100% of families that, we have at least one conference with 100% of families. And so Parent Square, I know is for most schools going to be your best bet. And one thing I would also add as a question is make sure, one of the things that we often do as educators is we use a lot of acronyms that we know the answers to. But we know what they mean, but others may not. So even like DIBELS, and we talk about like NWSF and PSF and all these things, where don't be afraid to ask, like, hey, what does this mean? Can you explain that more in detail? Because we use these things like like they're just part of our everyday kind of communication. But for families, they may not use those every day. And so it's like, well, what does DIBELS even stand for? And things like that. So.
And I echo that Parent Square, is the common communicator. So please check your Parent Square for your school. And if you don't see anything, just reach out and ask the principal, the counselor, the teacher, like, hey, I want to meet. But all information is shared through Parent Square. Sometimes it doesn't get home through backpacks. So always check Parent Square. As long as we have your updated information, you should be able to see those things.
And what if throughout we finally get everything set up? I attend my parent teacher conference. I'm squared away on Infinite Campus. I'm squared away on Parent Square. I'm in all of my systems and I am up to date. I'm keeping up with my kiddo. And now I'm starting to have concerns or I'm starting to have questions or wonderings or maybe some misunderstandings. And I've heard today that this isn't the only time I can talk to my teachers. How do we go about addressing some of these concerns as we move through the year past our first parent-teacher conference?
Reaching out to the school. It really takes a village, and we need all hands on deck in doing this important work. And just know throughout the school year, there are ebbs and flows, right? So it's first quarter, they're getting used to things. And then we get there's a lot of more of people being comfortable in October, November, December, the break in the holidays, some inconsistencies with days. So they may be doing well in one quarter, but not the next. So the first and foremost, make sure you have Infinite Campus so you can stalk those grades, stalk your grades. It is an easy resource where you can see everything that's going on, but just reach out to the teacher. And even if the teacher has not reached out to you, you reach out, and you as the parent have the right to request any type of meeting anytime throughout the year, not just once. That's the bare minimum. So, and we are more than welcome. We have not turned away, not any parent conference, because we know how important that relationship is. So just reach out if there's any concerns or questions about some of the work that's coming home.
Yeah, I would just add, if same thing, use Parent Square as that tool to communicate. But, if you're not getting an answer or, and for various reasons, teachers are busy, we know that. But, don't be afraid to go to a counselor or administrator. The more people that you get involved, the better. Because, no one, it's probably there are lots of reasons why things might get missed. But the more people you include, we'll make sure we get that taken care of. And it's certainly never, the wrong move to make to reach out to, an administrator or a counselor to say, hey, I'd like to have this meeting, because, again, then we can get everybody at the table and make sure that, we can sit down and talk about how to best support the student. So.
Absolutely. We've had a question shared of, do we know what percentage of families have set up Parent Square and Infinite Campus? And I believe that's really going to be a school to school difference. Each school has their own percentage of that they are tracking towards. Principals, if you would like to share any additional information there.
Yeah, it is individualized per school. We know it is a new system, so we're navigating to make sure all the information is correct and that all the systems make sure they're speaking to each other. But our goal as a district is to get 100% at every school, and we're charged to get that very soon, probably by the end of this month on to the next month. So we're working very diligently to ensure that happens, but it differs from school to school. But usually everything has been a quick fix. So if you're having an issue or some type of barrier, please go up to your school, and I assure you someone there will be able to support to navigate, because sometimes it could be just a one quick button where a phone number was in the wrong place, that is out of our control, but we can fix to make sure you have access to all the systems.
Yeah, I would, I guess, echo just, if you're not getting messages from Parent Square, then probably something's wrong, right? Because there's lots of messages getting sent out. And so if you're not seeing something, or you feel like you're missing out on communication, please, come to the school, reach out to the school. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is just to come to the school, because I've found that a lot of when we can see exactly what's happening, then we can try to troubleshoot that way. Infinite Campus is the same way. It's definitely been a bit harder to get set up with that than it is with Parent Square. But we're getting there with our families, and we can solve most of the problems pretty quickly as soon as we find out what the problem is. So.
Absolutely. Great tip. Great information. And then are there any other, as we approach the end of the first quarter, I know we always focus on our parent-teacher conferences, but we know there's a lot of big systems that our families might need to be aware of. Are there any other key dates or learning that we should be aware of as we approach the end of first quarter for our elementary and middle school families?
Data managers, our schools should be giving you information about like when the report cards will be available to view. But basically the end of the quarter is the 31st. And then for some teachers, like for our school, we're start, as far as late work acceptance, there is a deadline of when we're accepting late work because we have to make sure all the teachers are trained to get all the grades in correctly. So so the end of the quarter is definitely one. That's this Friday, and then we started to the new quarter. And then I know for middle school, we have benchmark assessments, which are a big mid kind of beginning of the year, other than iReady assessments that we're going to do. That's going to give us a great data point to see how our students are doing. So those are the main things, and from a middle school lens.
Yeah, I think from elementary school, we same thing. We have, we do have benchmark MVPA exams coming up for some of our grade levels. We only give DIBELS certain times. We do the DIBELS assessment certain times a year. We are progress monitoring our students as well, so we're seeing what that growth looks like. I think the other thing that parents should be aware of is, that time right now between now and kind of that next set of like benchmarks is a great time to start, just some additional support plans and things like that, right? So, just if you're not feeling like your child's making the growth that you think they should be, like, just reach out and, let us know. And again, we can sit down and look at things together and, determine like what the best plan of attack is there, right? But I know it's also hard because we're about to go through that period of like, lots of days off and holidays and all those things. And so, trying to keep consistency and, just find things that students can do outside of school to help support that growth is important too. So.
Thank you. And our final question for the evening will be, and if families, if you have more, please share them. But for now will be, what additional key takeaways would you share with families to ensure a successful school year for the remaining 3 quarters?
I would just say communication, right? Like, don't, make sure that communicate, like, yes, we'll communicate a lot to families, but we want families to communicate with us, right? So just, don't be afraid to, ask questions, reach out, engage in anything that's coming up, school improvement team meetings, for us, PTA meetings, any of those things where you can have your voice be heard, because we want our families to understand, one of the things we really want our families to understand is that, we're here for them, not the other way around. Like I don't have a job if families don't send their kids to school. And so we're here to support them and we want their voices to be heard.
And I echo all his great words: communication, communication, communication. Just talk to us. We'll problem solve. Talk to us when it's going good. Talk to us when it's not. If your child comes home and has a bad day or is stressed over some type of drama, call the school. We're here to support. We're in this together. So just communicate, and ask questions. And, even the hard questions, even if it's like you think you may make someone upset, just ask. We're ready to have that conversation and problem solve.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And a big round of applause to our 2 spotlight principals guiding us through our end of quarter 1 discussion this evening. Thank you so much for your time, your thoughts, and your dedication, and the time that you spend serving your school communities as well as our district at large. So thank you so much for your time. And a special thank you to our families as well for joining us this evening, to Mr. Bill King for presenting that valuable information on Title I programming that is available to our schools and families each and every day. We hope that this was a beneficial evening for you, and we look forward to you joining us for our next Title I Advisory Committee session on December 8th, which will be followed by our final 2 in March and April. Families, if you did not sign in, please complete the bit.ly that has been shared in the chat for all follow-up information, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great evening.